Hi and welcome to Explora. My name is Ashley and this is Lyric.
Hi everybody, thanks for joining us today for a part of our Make at Home series. Today we're going to be making self-watering plants. Here's an example we have here of kind of what we're going to be doing. This is like the final version kind of after we make a smaller one, but I'll pass it back over to Ashley.
Awesome, thank you Lyric. So today we're going to be sprouting or planting the commonly known spider plant. And today we are going to start off with, it's called the shoot, and we pulled this guy off brand new today. So today we're going to be showing you how to sprout him. So this is what eventually the roots will look like. This is a little much for the roots, but this is what we're going to be planting for you today. So we did bring a bunch of different sized water bottles that you can use. We're going to start this guy. You're going to probably use a smaller size water bottle, but since we are planting his older brother, we are going to use a much bigger one where he will graduate from this one to here for his new home. So some materials you'll need are the plastic water bottles. So, and this is called an awl, and it's basically just like a poker for poking things. We're going to use it to poke the inside of the bottle cap. And we have a bunch of different string that we have previously tested, but the one we found that works the best is this one. It's called twine, and we found that it works the best because it is the strongest and it absorbs most water better. We did test yarn, and if you just have yarn, that is completely fine. The only difference is that it's not as strong and the water doesn't really take as well, and it just, like, I think it's because of like the fuzziness.
Yeah.
And this is also good alternative because it's thin and strong, and this one is just too thin, so it's a good size of what you have. So.
And we followed the same design process or the same maker process that we've talked about throughout this whole series. We started with designing, and then we build, and then we test. And so how she was talking about the test, the yarn played a big role in our testing part. And then the last part of it is to make improvements. And so that's how we can make improvements, right? We just learned over time after making this one. There's obviously not too many improvements we can make as we go along. In this case, we've just tested beforehand. And so that was our design. And so then now we're building. Yeah.
Awesome. So we're also, besides the water bottles and the string, and the awl, you're going to use scissors, and we also have some potting soil and some water. Yeah. So to start, we're going to start with this guy. We're going to turn him on his side. And since this guy is a little bit stronger plastic, we are going to use a box cutter.
And while she's using the box cutter, while we're using any of the tools, especially the awl, you'll see when we get to that point. But with this box cutter here, you want to just make sure you're very careful with it. You're cutting away from your body, getting help where you need. Nice. And as she's cutting it, if you notice the spot where she's cutting it at, kind of how where we've cut this one at as well, it's just about, it's like a third of the cup. If I hold it up this way, almost about half. What you want it to be, this is a great example Ashley has made ahead of time. She designed this, right? Almost so we can test it. So just enough room so where a good amount of water can sit in there for you, but enough room to hold your plant. And since this guy has roots that are so long, we left a good amount of room for him.
So now that we've cut this guy, we're going to take off the bottle cap and we're going to make the hole where we're going to thread our twine through. So this is where the awl comes in, and you're just gonna put it face down so it's like upwards, I guess. And you want to use this on a strong table where you can scratch it, or like the carpet.
Right. It can take it.
Nothing nice, nothing too nice. So we're just gonna get it like this.
If you notice too, she's poking just straight through it, through the top of it, with it down on the table. This is something you don't want to poke into it while it's in your hand, because it'll probably go through and then catch you on the other side.
Awesome. So when you do have it in, you're just gonna slowly twist it until you get the hole to be a little bit bigger. Nice. Just enough so the string can go through, but not big enough to where it can fall out. Perfect. So now for the string, for the twine, since the edges are a little bit frayed, you can just give it a nice good twist at the top to make it into a more pointy part, and where you can just thread it in.
And while she's threading it in, we can talk about the spider plant again, just so you guys get a clear idea of we have the full cycle working here. We have a plant that started out as one of these little guys that's on our shoot here, right? We've pulled it off. This one we just pulled fresh. So you'll have this. It has no roots on it or anything like that. This you'll want to leave in water for about a week or two. And then it won't get as big as this guy. That's why, as she was saying, you want to use a smaller one for this one initially, right? And then eventually upgrade it into this when it needs to be repotted. And so after you let it sit in the water, it gets its roots, and then it goes into here. And so once it's into here, this one's about to be ready to be put into a pot. So this one will be moved into a pot, and it just continues on.
So if you're struggling to get the twine through the hole, another trick besides twisting it, if that's not working, just dip the string just a little bit into some water and then twist it again, and hopefully it should stay nice and pointy.
All right, so now we've built all of our components, and it looks like we're ready to put everything together.
Perfect. So you do want to make when you put the bottle cap through, you want to make sure the bottle cap is in the middle of the string, and then you're going to tie a knot just on the bottom of the bottle cap, just to make sure that it doesn't go through. And then when you do this, you're just going to get the knot and push it down to make sure that it stays on top of the bottle cap.
Nice. And that part can be tricky, because this part always confused me a bunch of times. So you'll want to make sure that the longer part is hanging on the outside, how Ashley was saying. So it's the bottom of it, the inside of it, that she's making her knot.
So then when that's done, you can just go ahead and twist the bottle cap back on and pull the string down too.
Nice.
And then this is where, so the bottom part is where your water is going to be, and then the top part is where you'll actually put the spider plant.
Nice. That looks awesome.
So now what we're going to do is we're going to get some soil. And now we're only going to fill it up about, so for this baby one, we would fill about halfway here. But for this guy, since he is a little bit bigger, we are going to fill it up, about the same, about halfway, about like right up to here. And to start, you just want to put a little bit, and then you're going to get your plant and put him into and you can go ahead and just move the soil around to make sure the roots get really into it.
Right? Don't be afraid to kind of.
It's going to get a little messy, but you really want all of the roots to be just covered in dirt.
Yeah, that looks great.
Awesome. And then again, just get your soil.
And so there's so many different ways that this could be implemented into your life. There's plenty of people who own nurseries and just work with plants. There's lots of careers out there. So this is just one example, and there's a lot of people who found tons of different ways to make self-watering plants, different things that you can put into the soil that can slowly start to pool the water itself. But yeah, there's tons of careers that go around botany, around plants. And it can even go as far as agriculture, right? It's amazing, the different careers that you think of even when you're just messing with plants, right? This is very simple, something we're doing, but it's pretty limitless. It's pretty endless, the different careers that are out there, because it's really important for us to survive, right? We don't see farming happening a lot, but check out your local growers market, stuff like that, because it's definitely happening all around us still.
And then if you run into big chunks of soil like this, just go ahead and just break them up, because you want the soil to be evenly spread out throughout the plant so that everyone gets a fair shot. So now that it's fully covered, like Lyric said, you want to make sure you cover the top, the white part of the plant. And again, if you see run into some spots that are not covered, that's okay too. And now we're going to add some water.
Yep.
And so like in this plant that we did have, you don't have to add as much you don't have to add that much water because it will absorb through the string. And
right. And it'll you just don't want it to touch like the cap. It doesn't need to be that high up. And eventually the string, like this one, see, you could tell it's ready to be planted. The string will break off. So even our twine, even though it was a stronger one, that was an important part of our design process and our testing process, because that lasts the longest until it's ready to be put into its pot.
Yes. So again, if you want to measure, so you don't put too much water, you can put them in first and just eyeball it, measure where the cap is so you don't touch it. So it's going to be about right here is where we're going to fill it up with water. And then really slowly just pour the water into the container. And you want to make sure that the string gets wet, just so it knows its purpose. And then you kind of want it to coil a little bit at the bottom, like this, like circle, just so the whole string gets wet like this.
Perfect.
And you can push it down or up or however much you want.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's good.
And then whenever you see water, so since it is a self-watering plant, you don't have to pour water into the soil. Instead, you can just take it up and refill the water at the bottom.
Right? And it's up to you your first time. If you want to add some water through the top, you can. You can even, if you want, you can pour a little bit.
Yeah, just
and
so
you'll
it stays
see,
wet.
You'll see, like, you can wet the soil the first time if you want, but like Ashley said, it'll water itself. Make sure you put it, if you have a window, put it by the window if you possibly can. If you don't have a window, just somewhere where there's light. There's enough light getting to it. And then like Ashley said, you basically just have to check on it that the bottom is nice and filled up, and it'll water itself.
Awesome. Thank you, Lyric.
Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have fun making your own self-watering plants.